Okay, so now we're going to evaluate expressions that deal with cube roots. So your basic thing is you're understanding your definition. Cube root means to multiply the same number 3 times to give me what's inside the radicand. If we're doing a cube root, we want our radicands to be perfect cube numbers. Therefore, we need to memorize this list. If we know this list, we got it made. These are your perfect cube numbers. So my first expression says I want to do the cube root of 125. So I ask myself, is 125 a perfect cube? Sure it is. It's right here on the list. What number did I multiply 3 times to give me 125? Well, if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. So the cube root of 125 is 5. And because we perform the operation, we no longer write the symbol. If I have the cube root of 512 thousandths, a decimal, 2 ways to look at this. You could rewrite this as a fraction. So if I read that decimal out, again, it's 512 in the thousandth spot. So what I'm asking you to cube root is both the number 512 in the numerator and the number 1,000 in the denominator. And if you look, both of these numbers are perfect cubes. Therefore, there's no work. You are going to memorize what the cube root of each of them are. The cube root of 512, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, is 8. 8 times 8 times 8 is 512. The cube root of 1,000 is 10. And then if you write this answer as a fraction from the previous chapter, you should reduce it to be 4/5. However, if you didn't want to write this answer as a fraction, you just wanted to keep the answer as a decimal, okay, cover up the point, you would see the number 512. You know 512 is a perfect cube. You know 8 times 8 times 8 makes 512. So we would say, okay, it can't be the whole number 8 times 8 times 8. It must be 8 tenths. Now you're going to say, why 8 tenths? Why not 8 thousandths? Because remember, you have to multiply this number 3 times. And if you take 8 tenths and multiply it to 8 tenths and multiply it to 8 tenths, well, 8 times 8 times 8 would give you the 512. Tenths times tenths is 100. 100 times tenths is 1,000. And that's where you would get the thousands. And if you all know, this fraction, 8 tenths, is equivalent to that decimal 8 tenths. They mean the same thing. If I have here, I want to do the expression, the cube root of 1 over 216. Again, if there's a fraction in a root symbol, that means you're doing the root operation to both the numerator and the denominator. You can rewrite this in 2 parts. It's the cube root of 1 and the cube root of 216. The cube root of 1, 1 is a perfect cube. It is 1. The cube root of 216, 216 is a perfect cube. It's 6. So the cube root of 1 over 216 is 1/6. One last note I want to pay close attention to is there's 2 numbers on the cube root list that were also on the square root list. And the 2 numbers they have in common are the 1 and the 64. 1 and 64 are both perfect squares and perfect cubes. So be careful. Square root means a number times itself. If I say the square root of 1, what times itself is 1? Well, that's 1. If I say the cube root of 1, well, if I multiply a number 3 times to give me 1, well, that can also be 1. So you're going to learn if you're doing a root of the number 1, doesn't matter what root, your answer is always 1. The other number common on the list is 64. This you better pay close attention to. There is a difference between saying a square root of 64 and a cube root of 64. Square root of 64 means I multiplied a number twice, and that would be 8. 8 times 8 is 64. Cube root of 64 means I multiplied the same number 3 times, and that would be 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. So be very close attention to when you're working with roots, whether you're doing a square root or a cube root. Okay, see you in the next module.